Well, good afternoon and welcome to this segment of Raven Intel's podcast series featuring SpinifexIT. And I am joined today by Mat Katakis, Chief Operating Officer, and Darren Souter, Solution Architect at SpinifexIT. In this time, we will get to know a little bit about them, a little bit about their company, and what they are doing for customers. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Maybe we could start off. If you could briefly introduce yourself and your role at SpinifexIT and what you do. Matt, do you want to start?
Sure, I can start. So thank you, Bonnie, for making the time and organising this call. So my role as the Chief Operating Officer, I focus on helping customers achieve their objectives in driving HR and payroll operational and transactional efficiency through leveraging the technologies that we have. I've been with the organisation for a bit over 7 years. I've been in the SAP ecosystem for 25 years, working with many customers across the globe and many partners in my various roles in the past, predominantly driving transformational change in HR and payroll.
Fantastic. And Darren, how about you?
Sure. Thanks, Bonnie. So I'm the Solution Architect for SpinifexIT. I'm really responsible for our Easy Suite solutions, so that really revolve around the SAP payroll primarily area, but also into the SuccessFactors area. Like Matt, I've also worked in SAP for around 23, 24 years now. And really on the technology side. So I started off as a developer working on the SAP, for SAP actually building payrolls such as Australia Payroll. But over the last 15 or more years, especially through SpinifexIT, we've been really working with customers, looking for to use technology to really build out and streamline customer processes. So rather than doing things manually, we've really focused our efforts on streamlining those processes to make it easier for them to actually achieve what they actually need to do, but really without manual processes, so through software.
Fantastic. So really about enhancing the experience with the SAP products and helping customers be more efficient in what they're doing.
Absolutely. Really taking what SAP does already, using the power of SAP, and then just taking that to the next level.
That's great. So Matt, maybe you can answer this. Who are SpinifexIT's customers? So how do you find customers that are in need of the services that you provide?
To answer the first part of the question, we have a broad spectrum of SAP customers, and that could be from a small manufacturing organization who has, I guess, challenges with, say, operational or transactional based reporting, and needs technology to help automate that process and to drive, I guess, efficiency and to also ensure there's compliance around HR and payroll reporting, as an example. And we have very large multinational customers, whether they be miners, whether they be retailers, whether they be government. So our products are predominantly industry agnostic, which allows us to pretty much solve the product, the operational and process challenges that they may have, irrespective of the industry that they're in. I guess how we acquire customers and I guess understand the problem set that we're trying to resolve is various channels that we work through. We work through channels with partners. So when a partner is asked to come in and implement a new payroll solution for them, or migrate a solution from a legacy payroll to ECP as an example, and a partner may ask us to help them with identifying the requirements in terms of migrations, and then supporting them through the migration process, and then working with them and the customer on the reporting processes, and working with them on the document generation processes as a couple of examples. In other cases where a customer has been in steady state running SAP for many years and has been doing a number of these processes manually, as Darren mentioned earlier. And they really need to drive efficiency in the way they do things, and remove, any potential risk in manual operations, in terms of running payroll reconciliation as a good example, where they would ask us to come in and look at these processes and recommend some solutions that would very much help automate such processes, and then pretty much take away all the manual intervention, if you like, and reduce the risk of compliance exposure and errors. So, our technology is very much designed around streamlining, end-to-end processes from, I guess, pre-payroll operations to post-payroll operations as an example, and really allowing the operator to ensure that at the end of the day, the employee is paid correctly. So that's a critical use case for us, to ensure that the technology that we have enables a business to run, end-to-end payroll and ensure people are paid correctly. Yeah.
Perfect. And geographically, you're a global company. Is there a particular sweet spot that you have geographically, or do you go everywhere?
No, I think we're quite broad spectrum. I guess we do have, our software is also, I guess, country specific in terms of some of the capabilities that we do have that address specific country needs. But we can build content specifically for those countries as necessary, and we do that. We do have specific software solutions, for the US, for the UK, for Australia as well. I'll let Darren jump in a minute and provide some more specifics. But broad speaking, we address, I guess, problems that are global based. Payroll reconciliation issues are globally based. Automation of document generation for employee correspondence are globally opportunities and problem sets. So I'd say that at least 80+% of the issues that we address are globally based. So Darren, if you want to make any further comment on that.
Probably just to say that, the software currently is used in about 45 or more different countries around the world, and just about every country we do go to has pretty much the same problem set. So whilst there is some localization that we may do at a country level, that's pretty rare. Most of the times the core solution suite is the same. And lastly is that we do have probably key areas that we generally work in, and that's just purely due to where we're located. So Australia is a big market for us. US is a big market. US and Canada is a big market for us, and we're really focused on Europe at the moment. So we've got an office sitting in Germany, but through our partner network, we're actually able to pretty much go anywhere. So, whether that's South Africa, South America, throughout Asia, we've got partners in most of those areas. So it really gives us a really big reach into those countries.
That's great. Well, we have heard from your customers, so Raven Intel being a peer review site, we have gotten many reviews now for SpinifexIT from customers. You're rating a 4.8 out of 5 in customer satisfaction, which is well above, our partner averages. What I'm curious about is, what is it about the way that you approach the customer relationship that causes you to be able to, I guess, very consistently, service clients in this way? What is it about either your people or the way you approach the relationship that's causing these high marks?
Yep, I can talk to that, and I
Sure.
guess that one of the things I think whilst we're a software development company and ultimately looking to solve customer problems, one of the things we probably pride ourselves with is that we always work very closely with the customers. So by doing that, we really understand, rather than just going to try to sell them a product, we really try to understand what their needs are, and then really try to tailor that solution and the offerings back to what the customer actually is looking to do. And that actually has a dual effect because it solves the customer's problems, but it also allows us to fully understand what their needs are and then tailor the software into the future to meet those needs. So if I look at what our software does, it's not that we sit in a incubator development house and build software that we think the customer needs. We're actually sitting with the customers day in, day out and working with them. And from there, we're actually tailoring and tweaking the software based on their needs. So it really, what it really resonates to the customers because it actually gives, they actually see straight away the value that the software brings to their organization. The second thing is that we're not focused on being a big implementation partner. So what we do with the software is we make it very much pre-delivered. It can be loaded and run with minimal implementation. So which in a way is a little bit unusual for SAP because often the customers do expect those larger implementations. So for a customer to suddenly be able to see a solution, buy a solution and use a solution almost immediately always works out well for the customers and for us as well. Don't know if you have any other key points.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. The only point I will make is, Bonnie, we're specialists. We specialise in, payroll, operational, transactional reporting as an example. We specialise in, employee document automation. That's our skill set, and we don't try to veer outside of that. And I think all of our consultants, and we've got a very small consulting team, are also specialists in this area. And that's why I think very quickly we can, I guess, understand the problem set that a customer will typically, expose to us. And then, as Darren mentioned, provide that sort of unique solution that meets their needs. And it's all software driven. We don't have large consulting days, as Darren mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for us, it's about driving ROI for that customer because they've already invested millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars in the SAP system itself. And now it's about how much value can we drive from that, additional value from what they're already receiving from the investment of SAP itself.
Yeah. And now one of those what I would call is like a very highly specialized solution is the easy migration and easy go live solutions that I believe you've recently come to market with. Can you describe what those are a little bit, and how do those fit within the customer relationship, and who's actually buying those solutions?
I'll let Darren start with this one, and then I can add to it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so there's two solutions, and they're really aimed at probably key different markets here. So our easy migration is really aimed as an accelerator as much for the partners to be able to pick up and move the customers to the cloud, or whether it's, whether they're on premise today, whether they're moving just to Employee Central Payroll and Employee Central, or even if they're moving to S/4HANA. It allows for the picking up of the configuration side and carving that out of the full ERP solution and moving that just to its standalone solution. So it really means that as a partner, they don't have to go and try to re-implement the payroll from scratch. And if you think about most customers, they have 5, 10 or more years of configuration and tweaking the solution. So they don't necessarily want to change that solution. They want to take it, and then they can build on that solution that's there. Through that tool, though, we've actually allowed customers to transform their configuration. So if they're not happy with things like number ranges, name ranges, they want to remove certain configuration, they can do it. But it's really done through a software, so it can really reduce an implementation from multiple months down to literally days. Sorry, Bonnie.
That was the question I had. It sounds like it's something that accelerates the length of an implementation significantly.
Absolutely. It's, we've seen cases where we've, within a day, we've had a payroll up and running, or even hours up and running from taking from a blank system to having your configuration moved across and being able to run payroll. So the tool itself is really designed more as an implementation tool. But it really saves both the partner and also the customer a lot of costs because they're not re-implementing it. The second solution though really works hand in hand with the migrations, and that's our Easy Go Live solution. And what we've done is we've separated out the components that are more customer based. So things like creation of the data extracts or data imports to load up Employee Central, parallel run testing that the customer is really often mainly responsible to do that type of testing, as well as providing tools to actually allow you to take your existing data set, your existing historical data from your existing system and move that to your new Employee Central payroll system. So what we're seeing is without a tool like that, a customer is literally almost re-implementing a solution like Employee Central Payroll, but not necessarily taking their historical data. So what we see is when we're actually coming across quite a few customers with this scenario is they had an existing ERP solution. They've now implemented Employee Central Payroll, but then are really struggling to report across the two solutions. And in some cases, they've moved that data into a database, whether it's a BI solution or whatever, but they're actually really struggling to pull the data. So by moving their historical data as well means that they can actually report on it all in the one system.
And is there a particular part, when should a customer be thinking about the, Easy Go Live solution? Where is your ideal point in the customer journey to have a customer understand what this is and elect for it?
It's really an upfront. It's really something that they really need to be thinking about upfront, even when talking to their implementation partners. And choosing their implementation partners, because they want to first really choose a partner that has solutions to accelerate this. It will be very apparent when you talk to a partner that does and that doesn't, because the cost of the implementation will be, and even the length of time for the implementation will be much less. So it's really important to speak to them upfront. Especially around the migration tools. Secondly, for the Easy Go Live, I'd say that it's important early in the project. It's probably not imperative that it's done before the project starts, because you will have customers that are in progress through that project, and we already have customers that are in progress through the project who are getting up to the testing stage, and then suddenly start to see those things like the testing requirements. And the solutions, whilst the migration is used for just existing SAP customers, because they're picking up existing configuration and moving that to the cloud, the Easy Go Live solution can be used for both brand new customers to SAP as well as existing customers. So new customers actually have a complex testing scenario where they're actually testing back to comparing back to a legacy system outside of SAP. So there's actually quite a lot of need for them to also have a tool that actually helps them report across that data. So I'd say that still either way, early in the process for both of those products.
Yeah. If I can just add one point, Bonnie, and with these projects, they've always got risk associated with them, in terms of missing data, missing configuration. So having our technology, such as Easy Migration and Go Live, does really help you de-risk that whole process. And the other, I guess, advantage with having a software technology, is you can actually kind of, configure it on the fly if you have to, for some adjustments, and we've got that ability to do it as well.
Yeah.
So these are the things you've got to think about. If you're starting a project, whether it's a migration project from an old legacy SAP system, or whether it's a net new implementation of ECP and then Employee Central, having technology to really drive the acceleration, especially in the early stages of requirements and blueprint phase, is critical, in my opinion. And then we'll save you a lot of time and we'll de-risk the project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, given the state of the world that we've lived through 2020 and now 2021 with the pandemic, has that shifted your business, your focus, and what you're seeing your customers asking for? And if so, how?
I think certainly the HXM move has really allowed us to create these two new solutions because we're seeing a lot of customers are now thinking about migrating to the cloud, whether they've been not on SAP, so they're net new to the SAP ecosystem, or they've been running their systems in a legacy environment and they're it's not cost effective to run those environments, and those systems continuously on premise. Mm-hmm. So it's given us the opportunity to really focus on developing these new technologies to help these customers migrate across to the cloud. The other thing that we're also seeing is, people really want to drive efficiency and focus on projects that are really, I guess, growth-based projects. Running payroll and running, those operational and transactional processes do become, I guess, business as usual. Mm-hmm. And employers and company executives really want to make them as efficient as possible. So I guess in the pandemic for us, it is about doing that more so than ever. Yeah. And the fact that we're all virtual now and probably for a while, yeah. Having technologies such as ours really does leverage that opportunity, and we see that continuing to be the case for many years to come. Mm-hmm. Darren, I'm not sure if you want to make any further comments.
Yeah, look, I think as Matt said, the migration it's interesting because during the kickoff, when the pandemic really started, we also were starting to see that shift of customers really starting to migrate off and look at their future anyway. Migrations to Employee Central Payroll, migrations to S/4HANA, and so on. So we've still continued to see that focus. At the same time, we've been working very much closer and closer with partners to roll out the migration tools. So in one respect, there's the customers are looking for tools to streamline their work because they're not sitting in the office, they're not sitting next to each other day to day. But at the same time, those customers are still looking to their future and possibly taking advantage of this time to actually think about their future and where the payroll is going to sit, where their HR is going to sit, and so on. We've probably also seen a little bit of an acceleration of customers to Employee Central in my view, and that part of that I think is because they want to provide the employee experience to the customers to actually allow the employees to have that portal-based view to take advantage of that because they're all sitting remotely. So I think certainly from the payroll side and the HR side, we haven't seen too much impact, but certainly the customers are working quite differently in their day-to-day.
For sure. And I think any time that you can help with accelerate that digital transformation, it's on the forefront of everyone's mind if they're not on cloud yet.
Exactly. Especially because they're not able to have a whole team come in and sit in an office together. So the faster you can do things, the more remote you can do things, the better. And luckily, technology sort of suits that sort of implementation now, and it seems to work quite well.
Yeah. So much of what we're hearing at Raven from your customers has to do with the experience that they have with SpinifexIT staff and the associates. Can you describe, how are you recruiting and retaining the consultants that work for you that are customer facing? What is it that makes the difference about your people that customers should know about?
A couple of key points. The first, our consultants really enjoy working with customers. I think they love sort of helping them solve their problems, or as in the business operational problems that they're facing, and really taking the time to understand the issues. They're all, our consultants all came from industry. Our consultants all have been in the situations that the customers we are talking with are in at the moment. So I think they kind of can relate very quickly with the challenges that they face. So I think that's critically important, and really seeking to understand, first. The second thing that it's critical is that our consultants are always kept abreast and are learning of where our products are evolving to. And because we roll out, at least 2 releases per annum, and then have subsequent minor releases also, Bonnie. So as part of that, they have to keep up to speed with all the new functionality and content which is being released, and then sharing that knowledge with the customer to ensure that the customer is gaining that value as well. So I think that also keeps them very interested and engaged also. Mm-hmm. So those 2 things I think play a very critical role. We do spend a lot of time ensuring that we're backing those consultants and the customers that they're supporting with any particular unique use cases that they may have that we may need to think about. I mean, being a software business, I think, gives us the real agility, if you like, to address issues that may not be straight out of the box. By having that sort of engagement with the consultant, with the customer, and back into our software delivery team, allows us to very quickly respond to those particular challenges.
That's great. I think the final question that I'd like to ask is, what would you most want an SAP customer or an SAP partner who would be working along with you and a customer to know about SpinifexIT? What is something that they might not know today that you would really want to make sure that they knew about what you're doing?
I think both Darren and I will jump in on this one. I'll start and I'll hand over to Darren. Where we add value to the investment that they have, to the investment that the customer is gaining from SAP. That is really what we do. We drive real value in really creating that efficiency where there may be those efficiency and operational gaps in SAP today. It's such a tremendous system and such a complex and broad solution that it really does address a lot of, the HR and payroll processes. But there are some areas that, we've built our software over 15 plus years that really does close that gap. So I think what's important for customers to understand is the necessity to really have an operational transactional reporting strategy, and then ensuring that it's properly addressed via technology, and it could be a Spinifex solution in that case. Having a strategy that understands how do you automate document correspondence, document automation, and where a technology could be leveraged. Having a strategy to leverage technology for migrations, I think is critical. I think we've mentioned and spoken about that, and not doing it manually. I can't emphasize that enough, and really de-risking the projects. Having a solution that also allows you to ensure that once you've migrated or implemented a brand new payroll or a brand new Employee Central system, that you do have these checks and balances solutions that ensure that everything runs smoothly. These are the critical use cases that we address, and really does help you embed and transform or transition your business to leveraging the full suite of SAP capability, and then closing those particular gaps that I've just mentioned.
For me, from my perspective, probably two key things that I think I'd like to probably highlight. And first one is we spend a lot of our time talking about payroll because that's probably our history and our key areas that we've worked in. But Spinifex has expanded over the last 3 to 4 years and very much into the success factors space. So especially around document management, document correspondence straight out of success factors. We have purpose-built tools, cloud-based tools that are now and solutions that actually address very specific customer values there, and especially around areas such as in recruitment, employee central documents, and so on. So we're seeing quite a lot of interest there, but it's not probably something that everybody is fully aware of straight away until we show them those things. So I think success factors is a big area and is very much part of our future. We are also integrating all of our existing payroll products into success factors, so you can suddenly pull data in from both success factors and payroll together. And we're probably about the only tool or one of the very few tools that can really do that in the world. So that's quite unique, and it's actually quite a large business case because your data is now spread across two separate systems. So I think the success factors side is one that's a key one for me. Second one is that when we look at the customers, whether they're new customers or existing SAP customers, the solutions will fit into both. So there's super huge value to new customers coming onto SAP because they come along and they have gaps in reporting, they have interfaces they require, they may have documents they need. All of that, whilst SAP will provide the core functionality, all of those are more unique customer specific things, and that's what we really address. So the sooner they actually look at software, rather than trying to invent those processes early, the earlier they do that, the better. Mm-hmm. Having said that, an existing customer is always evolving, and we see customers that have been on SAP for 5 or 10 years who suddenly come across us, or we talk to those customers, and they're amazed by what it can do, and it actually can really streamline their process. So they start to then replace bits and pieces that they've built over the years with the software that can help streamline it. So there is no real perfect customer for us. Our perfect customer is as long as they're running SAP, as long as they're running success factors, they're a potential, there's value to them by providing software to them. So they're probably the two key value points I just wanted to probably highlight. If I had 2 minutes with any partner, just to say those key things.
Absolutely. Well, and I hear so much of what you both have just said echoed in the sentiment from customers, right? The fact that you really help them, walk or run the implementation journey more efficiently as a new customer, but also that you help to optimize the solution already in place. I mean, the reviews that we have from your customers span the gamut in terms of new to existing who's wanted to optimize their investment. And so definitely I'd encourage listeners to go out to the SpinifexIT profile on Raven Intel and read some of those reviews, because I think it really echoes, I think, what you both said in terms of what part of the customer journey do you get involved with? And the answer is multiple points, and also the partners responsible.
And for long term, Bonnie, and I think that can't be underestimated. We stay close to our customers long term. That's critically important for us. And we were able to do that quite efficiently. I mean, so the way we engage is at the beginning, in the middle, and we hope there's never an end. And so for us, it's always about that constant engagement. We always bring customers into our customer days. We always have sort of virtual events that we run to ensure that they're constantly kept abreast of the technology and how it's evolving. We always highlight use cases they may not have thought of, and they may be useful for them at that point in their life cycle or their journey of HR and payroll. So, and that's critically important for us. So as much as we're a software business, and I did mention that several times, we also believe the value is really that close relationship and engagement with that customer and our partners long term. That's critical for us. Yeah.
Yeah. The trust factor can't be underestimated, and
absolutely.
Repeat business is certainly shows that people vote with their their pocketbook again and again.
Absolutely. I mean, for us, it's about a happy and satisfied customer, and really seeing that the investment that they've put into the solutions and the projects are really starting to come to fruition, and they're seeing the value, and that makes us happy at the end of the day.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and for the great insight into your business and to your customers. Again, check out SpinifexIT out on Raven Intel. Read all about their reviews, as well as where can they find both of you? Where should, if somebody wants to connect with you directly, what's the best way to do so?
Oh, absolutely. We've got multiple channels via our website, via LinkedIn, via our sales at SpinifexIT.com. So we've got multiple sort of, social media channels that we can be reached from, as well as our website, as mentioned, and through Raven Intel, I think, as well.
Yes, right. Absolutely. Well, great. Thanks again for your time.